Welcome to my review of Final Fight for the Amiga. And I featured this game in my Playing with Shit series, so you can guess what the review score is going to be. It's not going to be too much of a surprise. But yeah, after a few minutes of seeing this, I think you'll get the fucking idea with this game. So this is another classic by US Gold, who made some of the shittiest games in existence. I mean, some of their games are, they make LGN games, look really good. So this is a really bad company. And I don't even know if they have any good games under their name. But this is, of course, a port of the arcade game. And you can see it's just a fuckfest. You get swarmed. The hit detection is horrible. It's super choppy. Enemies just disappear as they're in midair. They just disappear when they die. They don't even fall on the ground. If you die, you pretty much just respawn immediately. So there's like no death animation or anything like that. Bosses are completely fucking stupid to the point you can stand in one place, just punch the shit out of the boss. You got the minion here running back and forth constantly while you just punch the shit out of the boss. Brain dead enemies. And now, of course, you can just finish off the minion. Now with Hagar, this character, you can also spam the shit out of the pile drivers on the regular enemies. And there's really no enemy variation because of that. All the enemies pretty much are the same to deal with. The bosses are just spamming the punch button. The enemies are just spamming the punch button. Here's another boss just spamming the punch button. And, that's basically it. And for the enemies, the best thing to do with Hagar is to spam pile drivers pretty much. The flame is very touchy. Now, if the flame touches you, you lose an entire life just for that. You have very few lives to beat the game. It is limited continues, which says CR1 is your credits. It continues. The fire, if you touch it, you lose, like I said, an entire life. Now, in regular versions of the game, you take some damage to your health, but you don't lose all. You don't lose an entire life for touching the fire. But of course, this is a very shitty game. So don't expect, it to be too well designed. But yeah, for Hagar, the main thing is just spam pile drivers. And it's your basic crowd control and a beat 'em up, but it's just much shittier than any beat 'em ups that you would normally play. It's extremely poorly executed. I believe the game also has no music, if I remember right. It's either just sound effects or just music. I think it might be just sound effects. There's also long stretches of area where there's no enemies, as you can kind of see here. Even though I'm backtracking, there's areas where you will walk for very long periods of time with no enemies, which really doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, this game, it's very, very fucking bad. You got some really stretchy legs. The appearance of food items to give you health back is kind of ridiculous because they appear late in the game. There's actually one in the very beginning of the first stage when you don't need it. And then they start appearing late into the game, but they give you very little health back for each one you pick up. And they're kind of just randomly thrown around in different areas. It makes no sense. It's not paced well at all. I mean, there's just a whole list of issues with this game, really. It's a very sloppy fucking game. The last boss is even more of a fuckfest with very, very particular hit detection. It's a pain in the ass to get down. If you are interested in, seeing a playthrough of this shitty game, you can check out my tutorial video that I made with commentary. If you want some entertainment, I do complain about the game and I explain all my strategies to actually beat the game. It's not an incredibly hard game if you know how to exploit it, which I was able to learn fairly quickly using save states to practice specific parts and kind of learn the shitty game and mechanics. You see this long stretch with no enemies. I didn't even try this shit on 2 players. I believe it does support 2 players, but I actually watched my friend fuck around with it first, and then after he beat it, I kind of had an idea, and I practiced, 2 parts specifically, the flames and the final boss. Which, like I said, the final boss, it just plays so shitty, and he takes a shit ton of hits, and it's very, very hard to hit. So, I mean, that's the biggest challenge in the game. And not for the right reasons. It's just extremely sloppy. I mean, when you hit the boss, the final boss, it appears like you're hitting him, but he won't react to the hits, meaning you didn't damage him at all, but it looks like you should be hitting him. But it just doesn't happen. It's got to be exact. So it's just very anal about shit like that. But, again, it's a very sloppy game, so you can't be too surprised. I believe as a treat for this review, when I edited this footage, this is from my full playthrough, I edited it down for the review. I believe I show the full final boss fight as a little treat, if I remember right. I edited it some weeks ago, so I don't remember exactly, but I think I show the full final boss. So you can just see how shitty it is and how long it takes. A bit of a fucking spoiler, but you're not missing out on anything. Now, the boss can also shoot you with his spear gun. If he gets you with one shot, it's possible that he'll just chain a combo on you to where you can't recover and you'll just get shot to death. It's extremely badly designed in many, many ways. I mean, if you play the game, you'll find more complaints than what I've outlined in the review. But, I mean, you will get the general idea. In my case, I'm always hunting for games to beat. I'm looking for, kills. So if I feel like I can fairly easily beat a shitty game, I may put up with some bullshit. But when it comes to shittier games, I'm usually not as patient with beating those kind of games. So I do beat some shitty games, but it depends how shitty it is and how much of a bitch it's going to be to deal with the bad control and all that kind of shit. Now, you see, once you get in a specific loop, you can kind of chain him in this loop, but he does get out of it because the hit detection is just so bad. Now, if you were precise with it, you could probably keep him in that loop indefinitely until he dies, as you can see. But you can't fuck up at all. It has to be the exact same positioning each time. It's very, very fucking anal. Of course, in this game, since it's so fucking shitty, if you do happen to die, it doesn't reset the timer. So good luck with that shit. So if you do die on the boss and your timer is low, then your clock is going to run out, and then you're going to lose another life from that, since the timer doesn't reset. So there's little surprises like that, shit like that makes it more fun. And since I haven't played it in maybe a few months, there's probably some things that I'm not remembering, but I think that's already enough complaints to make this a piece of shit game. You can see me getting locked into these spears, and that can easily finish you off. A lot of times you just can't move. There's also like an input lag with the controls, where the controls are delayed. I think that's another... I did mention I think that the controls are pretty shitty, but I think I was mainly going on about the hit detection. But yeah, the controls are fucking shit too. They're delayed. So, when you do your jumping moves, of course there's a delay to it. So you're not going to be as accurate unless you planned ahead of time. It's slow to react. On top of that, it's an Amiga game, so it's a one-button game. So there's some kind of strange control to the jumping, to even do the jump. Since it's a one-button game, I think you have to combine the attack button and something else to jump. I don't remember exactly what the controls were, but just remember it's a one-button game. So you can imagine, the controls are pretty bad. You can see that this fight is still going on, so you can see how important it is to use save and load states to really practice this fight. Make sure you have it down, because you can get all the way to the end and easily drain all your lives from the timer running out and from getting chained by the spear gun to death. Because if you get hit once with the spear gun, you can easily get comboed to death. So definitely, it's not the easiest game to bullshit your way through. But it's really not that hard. If you're patient enough and practice the parts, it may not be too hard. But that was from my perspective. I mean, it will vary from player to player, what your tolerance is and your skill level. See how long this shit drags out. And it was actually real close here. I mean, I was getting down to the end of my health bar. And the timer, too. But I think I had one life left, so I may have been able to still grind it out. There's not even a cutscene when you kill the last boss. It doesn't even show him falling out of the window. You just get some shitty text message. So yeah, my final rating for this game is going to be a 2 out of 10. The only thing preventing me from giving it a 1 is that it's a playable game. You know, for me, a 1 out of 10 would be a game that's pretty much almost unplayable completely. So this does get a 2 out of 10. It's playable, but it plays like shit. And it's got a shitload of problems. It's just a very shitty game. So let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.